Hello everyone. Today I want to start by making a clarification about my last video. The title was Why the NHS Made Me Believe in God, or maybe it was how the NHS made me believe in God. But anyway, I think there was a bit of confusion about the title in relation to the video. It seems that some people interpreted the title of the video to mean that because I asked God to let my daughter live and not to be ill, that it was because she did live and that she did end up not being ill and she got better, and they thought that was the reason why I started believing in God, was because he'd sort of granted my prayer. But that's not what I was really referencing. Maybe I should have made it clearer. What I mean is that the very act of praying to God is an indicator in my mind that you believe in God, whether you admit to it or not, or whether he grants your prayer or not. That in the moment that you're praying, you believe in something because you're praying. Otherwise, you wouldn't be doing it if you didn't believe in it. And I want to start with that today. It's not completely off topic. I want to talk about religion, I suppose. I still don't really consider myself a believer. The title was a little bit cheeky in that sense. Since my daughter was born, I have started going to church as a kind of experiment to just to see what I might think about it, just to try it really. But I still don't think of myself as a Christian or as a believer in God. But I've been very interested in questions of spirituality and religion recently, and it's something that I'd like to explore on this channel. Most of my videos so far have been on the subject of politics or economics, current affairs, just stupid stuff from the internet, that sort of thing. But I want to try something a little bit new, where I try to ask some bigger questions that I'm not really equipped to give an authoritative answer to, but that I'd really like to be able to just investigate. I'm not going to be asking, is there a God or is there not a God? I'm more interested in questions of philosophy, you could say, questions that are more human-centered. I suppose you could say that I'm searching for the meaning of life, but that makes it sound rather boring and cliche. When I say the meaning of life, I don't mean the reason that we are all here, that that some creator has put us here for. What is it that makes life worth living? What is it that makes human beings happy? What is it that justifies all the suffering that comes with being alive and having free will? What can we learn from the people of the past or the people living today to make life more bearable? What is it we can fill our lives with that will give us meaning? It seems to me that there's a lot of trouble being caused at the moment by people not having any meaning in life, and there's a lot of suffering in the world, especially in rich modern countries, that doesn't need to be happening. The sort of existential pain that people go through completely needlessly. I talked about this a little bit after I read the book Tribe. This idea that we have never been more materially wealthy in countries like England, America, and in Europe. We have so much material wealth compared to our parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, and yet we have record high levels of anxiety and depression and suicide. And previously I was very quick to dismiss that because I was subscribing to this view of economic progress causing our lives to get so much better. And in a sense that is so true, and we seem to be lacking an enrichment in our emotional lives. And I'm sure we can all think of somebody, and I hope it's not you watching this, but it probably does apply to some of you, people who are materially have all of their needs met in terms of food and shelter and entertainment, and have a very comfortable life, and yet they are miserable. And well, that's kind of what I want to talk about in these videos. Is what is this thing that we're lacking? Like what is this thing that's making people miserable? What is the thing that they could be, if they added it to their lives, would make them less miserable? And is there a way of organising society a little bit better so that we can get more of that for everybody? The closest I've ever been on this channel to addressing this sort of thing, I think, was when I talked about reading Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl and For Whom the Bell Tolls by Ernest Hemingway. And I think I handled it pretty clumsily then. I was just sort of giving my reactions to the book. But I'm hoping to read more books like that, novels and non-fiction, and maybe some sort of classical literature. And by classical, I don't mean classics like Ernest Hemingway, I mean like Marcus Aurelius or the Stoics. I've been really enjoying Alf's Void's videos about Stoicism, and that's helped me to think about some of this stuff, but I'm going to search deeper than YouTube, I hope. That sort of study doesn't come naturally to me. It's not something I've done much in the past, so I'm going to just try my best and throw myself into it, and if I fail, then, at least I tried. But I hope that you, the viewers, will help me by suggesting some reading, or maybe some films, or any kind of media that might help me make sense of life. I know that's maybe a big ask. I want to hear about the books and the films or video games or whatever that made you feel the way that For Whom the Bell Tolls made me feel. Just the raw sense of reading something that seems to be meaningful, that resonates with something in your mind, that sort of just makes you switch on. And I don't know how to explain it, but if you've experienced that, then maybe you know what I'm talking about. The experience that you're reading something that matters, you're reading or hearing about some idea that it just really clicks with you. There's a big trend on YouTube at the moment for making videos that are critical of other ideas. A lot of videos, a lot of people are online criticizing feminism or SJWs or just the young activists, and I think there was definitely a time when all of that sort of thing was felt very meaningful to me, but at the moment it seems like that's been a bit played out. I'm no longer that interested in watching Dave Rubin interview the 200th person who's been the subject of an online mob. Although all of that is very interesting, or maybe it was interesting, and it seems like a very important thing that's going on at the moment is this sort of cultural shift, or culture war, as some people are calling it. What I feel like would be most helpful, maybe just for me, but maybe also for you watching this, or just for people in general, is to find something positive to work towards, to believe in, to think about, rather than to just be attacking this ideology, these bad ideas. It's just a little bit too obvious. Like we've been doing this for a couple of years now, just pointing out the flaws in other people's arguments, and it's all very valid, and I really enjoyed making those videos, and I still enjoy watching other people's videos like that. But for me, I want to move on and do something positive with my channel. If it's not too grandiose to assume, I'd like to work towards something that people can really believe in, something to get behind rather than just something to attack. And I think that's probably a little bit too high to aim, but if we don't aim high, then we're not going to get high. So I hope that's interesting to you and that you'll stick around to see how I do. It's possible that I'm taking on way more than I can deal with and I won't even make a single video on this subject, but maybe making a promise to you will help with that. I have a few ideas in mind that I'm going to work towards, write some proper videos, get some ideas together. But I want to hear what you think first, and hear about the books that, like I say, have been most influential in your thinking. It doesn't have to be books, video games, films, whatever. I just feel like most of these things do come in book form, or audiobook form in my case. So please leave your suggestions, and I'll look into all of them. Thank you very much for watching, and all the best for you and your endeavours in this life.